So the House in the U.S. Congress have decided to ban TikTok. Now, why have they done this? I'll give you the two reasons, because people think it's one reason, that is because of the fact that people our age, the youngins, those who are in their 20s, that are teenagers till their 20s and 30s, are listening to too much truth, that it's not good for them, and they're not brainwashed enough. So that is true, but it's also another reason. First of all, I'm going to play you the very obvious one. So this guy's from the ADL. Now, if you don't know what the ADL is, the Anti-Defamation League are an institution, an organization that have been around for decades, and their sole job, they claim that they fight anti-Semitism, but their purpose is really to go to people who are anti-Zionist and smear them as being racist and call them anti-Semites. So basically the function of any Zionist organization. Now, here's the head of the ADL, and I want you to listen to what he's saying.
Been on this show, we've talked about Instagram, we've talked about Twitter or X, and you've seen my back and forth with Elon Musk. But we need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will, it is the 24/7 news channel of so many of our young people, and it's like Al Jazeera on steroids, amplifying and intensifying the anti-Semitism and the anti-Zion with no repercussions. I've got to ask, Joe, like there's been a...
Do you hear how he's like, he almost said anti-Zionism, and then he caught himself because he's intentionally conflating the two, right? They want you to think that if you criticize Israel, then that means you're criticizing Jews. No, that's exactly our point, that it's not the case, right? But anyway, I'll let him continue.
A lot of lamentations about the fact that TikTok's ownership is Chinese, but you know what? Oracle owns 10% of the company. General Atlantic owns a piece of the company. Our friends at Sequoia Capital own a piece of the company. So does Sequoia and General Atlantic, does Oracle want to be responsible for spreading anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism? It's time.
That's his veiled threat. Like, are you sure you want to continue? Because we can make this look very nasty if you want us to.
Time to talk about TikTok.
All right. So in any case, this is one of the recordings. I'll play you another one. Now, this one's from a phone call, it's a recording that was leaked. And it's just so funny. It's really the cherry on top. Just listen.
In line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped like this.
So he's saying Jewish Voice for Peace. Again, this is a Jewish organization. And they, of course, spend their time attacking them. So you're allowed to be Jewish, but you have to love Israel. Otherwise, you're a problem. In any case, I'll let him continue.
And went to, like, Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups. We saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like, the language in their toolkits was all about the Zionist entity and lots of other language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
And here he goes on in another one. Hear the rest of the phone call in this one.
The issue in the United States' support for Israel is not. The issue in the United States' support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas is, massive.
I think the whoever wrote the subtitles meant Hamas, but okay.
Was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem. The issue in the United States.
Yep. So he's explaining that it's a generational divide. It is. It is absolutely a generational divide. And that is what makes it so problematic, because you can't get out of it. You can't get out of it. You can't get out of it. And this is the only age group. If you look at all the age groups in the United States, they all support Israel, right? They've all been brainwashed by the establishment through the education system, by the media. But because young people, we don't watch television, we don't get our news from legacy media through print, radio, or television. We get our news online. Well, this opens up far more possibilities and far more doors and far more, deeper and potent access to knowledge, right? And so they hate this. And it's very funny because, when you talk about being a democracy, of course you should have a free press. Of course you should have access to information. They go on and on about, oh my God, look at this is repressed in Iran, and look at this is repressed in Syria. And then this is how they speak. So that's why they're banning TikTok, because people are learning too much about Palestine. And I have to admit that I may have done a video or two that went viral on the platform. So I'm sorry I got TikTok banned, but it's okay. It was for a good cause, literally. But it's scandalous. It's really scandalous. I mean, look at the votes on the House floor.
On this vote, the yeas are 352, the nays are 65.
352 in favor. 352 in favor. So overwhelming majority. Overwhelming majority. I mean, that is scandalous, right? And of course the justification that they give is so funny. I mean, it's so funny. Let me show you this clip and just listen to this garbage. Honestly.
I want to address all of my colleagues who I think are confused about the First Amendment, confused about the nature of TikTok, and confused about the intentions of the Chinese Communist Party. Let me explain this really simple. TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is in China, and when you're in China, you have to do whatever the Chinese Communist Party says you have to do. That's according to the national intelligence law passed in 2017. If they want you to spy for them, you will spy for them. That's how that works. They have a board member from the Chinese Communist Party on ByteDance. You wouldn't allow a radio tower owned by the Chinese to be put up right in the middle of Washington, D.C., and then allow it to just put out Chinese propaganda. You'd probably complain about that. That's exactly what TikTok can be used for, because millions of Americans are addicted to it. They see it, and the Chinese can absolutely manipulate those algorithms. The First Amendment does not give the Chinese Communist Party the right to American data or the right to manipulate the minds of Americans. That would be a really weird interpretation.
Man, he's really funny. Do you know there is actually one, well, it's not a real country, but it pretends to be a country. There is one that is allowed to operate in the United States and is allowed to spread propaganda. Is Israel. You know, if for example, you were working at RT, you would have to go and they made RT register as a foreign agent. It's a news station, just like any other, just like the BBC, just like Deutsche Welle, but they made them register as a foreign agent. The Israelis, the Israeli lobby, and all these Zionist organizations, they don't have to do that, which is very weird, right? Very weird. And make no mistake, this has nothing to do with China in the sense that, oh, it's Chinese brainwashing Americans. About what? Can you name one issue? Can you show me any evidence? You can't. If you're going to tell me that China are spreading positive messages about Hamas, I mean, please get out of here. That's just ridiculous. What a joke. They don't even saying that because of how stupid it would sound, but they keep going on and on about China.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we take a stand against the Chinese Communist Party and their efforts to turn content creators in America into foot soldiers for the CCP.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm not in America, but I didn't know that I'm a foot soldier for the CCP. I better get a blood test or something. You know, she picked the wrong colors to talk about communism, but okay, we'll give her a pass because she doesn't seem to be she doesn't seem to be on the bright side. You know, it's funny because I recall that a few months ago, and keep in mind, this is nothing new, but we are talking about this conflict. The Israelis were hitting people up with emails and offering them to make, a good amount of money to make videos where they paint Israel in a positive light. So, you know, you want to talk about foot soldiers, maybe start there, but I take it you don't really take issue with the Israelis, of course. Now, let me explain something to you. Yes, this is about making sure that young people don't learn about Palestine, that they stay brainwashed and support Israel. You have to understand, though, that there's another part to this, and people are ignoring this or not bringing it up and not giving it, the appropriate attention it deserves. The Americans, they want to make sure that any popular technology, any popular software is controlled and owned by Silicon Valley and the intelligence agencies in America, okay? Everyone knows that since the 90s, the NSA were putting backdoors inside of Microsoft Windows. We all know that if, from Edward Snowden and Glenn Greenwald, there's that graph, that famous photo from the NSA files they leaked, where you can see how every single American tech company, AOL, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, Skype, Facebook, every single one had joined ranks with the NSA and were helping the NSA, gather data, manipulate, hack, do whatever they want with their programs. That's a fact. So for the Americans to come along and say, oh, the Chinese government are using this app to spy on people, I mean, get the fuck out of here. Who the hell are you to talk about governments using software to spy on people? Jesus Christ, I mean, you invented this. Literally. How dare you? How dare you? Do I have to pull up the graph again? Because I will. Don't make me tap the sign. Don't make me tap the sign. I'm going to tap the sign. They made me do it. Really scandalous, honestly scandalous. And then they have the nerve to talk about the Chinese, and there's no evidence. I wish there was like some evidence. No, it's just let's make it up, and people will go along with it, of course. Yeah, so here's one of the graphics, but I'll get you the one from The Guardian. Give me a sec. Yeah, this is one of them. This is just how, basically the NSA are using all of Google's data, and they tap into Google and Yahoo's stuff, right? So those are the two major search engines, at least at the time. But here's another one where they're working with the all these companies. Yeah, this one. See that? This is under Obama, right? And Bush started this under the presidential surveillance program. And then, of course, it expanded over time when the tech companies grew. See that? So this is PRISM, which is the NSA program. And all these companies, basically being used by the NSA. Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, Paltalk, YouTube, Skype, AOL, Apple. So to come here and then say, the Chinese are spying on people, get that, please stop. Really, I'm not even having this. But you have to understand that regardless of the smear, the United States want to control TikTok. It's basically like, if you won't give it to us, then no one can have it. That's the mentality. And I want you to remember that Donald Trump was also pursuing this policy. Donald Trump in 2020 told ByteDance that if they don't sell TikTok to an American company, he'll ban them. It's the exact same thing, right? I don't care what his stance is now. When he was president, that's what he did. He's not the president now, so I don't care what he says. But when he was the president, when he was in power, he told them, if you don't sell to an American company, doesn't even care which one, it just has to be American, meaning that the US can control it. You're banned. So what does that tell you? The fact that all of these people voted for this, 362 on, overwhelmingly Republican and Democrat, in favor of taking this app offline if they don't sell to an American company, and that this is the same as Trump's policy. I mean, the writing is on the wall. It's so obvious. And then I want to show you some more shocking videos from these hearings. These circus sham charades that they conducted. It's so bad. I mean, really, watch this, for example.
No, we have moved the data into an American cloud
TikTok
infrastructure.
is controlled by ByteDance, which is subject to this law. Now, you said earlier, and I wrote this down, we have not been asked for any data by the Chinese government, and we have never provided it. I'm going to tell you, and I told this when you and I met last week in my office, I do not believe you. And I'll tell you, the American people don't either. If you look at what is on TikTok in China, you are promoting to kids science and math videos, educational videos, and you limit the amount of time kids can be on TikTok. In the United States, you are promoting to kids self-harm videos and anti-Israel propaganda.
What do those two things have to do with each other? You are selling them orange juice and foot massages.
Why is there such a dramatic difference?
Senator, that is just not accurate. There's
not a difference between what kids see in China and what kids see here?
Senator, TikTok is not available in China. It's a separate experience.
Man, just utter clown. I mean, it's so painful. Here's another one, which is just as bad.
Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions. You said earlier, in response to a question, that what happened at Tiananmen Square in June of 1989 was a massive protest. Did anything else happen in Tiananmen Square?
Yes, I think it's well documented. There was a massacre.
There was the indiscriminate slaughter of hundreds or thousands of Chinese citizens.
Please don't get mad at me for saying this, but U.S. Congress people are ignorant as fuck. I mean, really backwards, like caveman levels. It would help if they actually got like basic geography, down, and some other things. Given that they're so confident in murdering people and censoring things and controlling political thought. By the way, one of you in the comments is asking for the link to the NSA graphic. I'm more than happy to provide it. Here it is. I've pasted it in the chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, I've cut it in 2 parts because it's too long. Hold on. There you go. So yeah, it's this one, right? I mean, it's from the NSA leaks, right? That Snowden and Glenn Greenwald worked on. I mean, so eye-opening, and one of the most consequential journalistic works that I can remember. But these hearings that they've conducted with this, with this circus, I mean, you can tell that it's nothing to do with China. They can't actually prove a link. So we've settled this now. We know why they've banned TikTok. And remember, it's not certain yet because they have to take it to the Senate, and then Biden will of course sign it if it gets there. But they've tried to do this before, and when Trump banned it, or tried to ban it, they fought it in court on First Amendment grounds and won. And then in I think it was Minnesota, they tried to ban it. Minnesota or Montana? Shit. I'm actually getting my geography mixed up. Give me 1 second. I think it was 2023 when they tried to ban it, and it was Minnesota. Yeah, I was correct. So it was Minnesota, and then they couldn't do it, and here they also take a look at this. So we've got both, actually. It's great. It's a widespread effort. So they tried to ban it in Minnesota, and then Montana, they actually did ban it, and they lost in both cases. TikTok were able to go to court and say, look, this on First Amendment grounds, you can't ban us. That's the point of what I'm trying to summarize here. And the thing is that whether they win in court or not, the point is that the U.S. government are so clearly, they're so happy and so able and ready to go and ban an app because it taught people about the massacres that are happening in Gaza. It taught people about what Zionism is. It taught people about, how the ADL and how other organizations specifically target people and call them anti-Semites just because they're anti-Israeli. So all of these things were exposed, right? And like the video that I did with the gas, the gas analysis with I did this mini documentary basically in 2 parts, which I showed you earlier. All of these things went mega viral on TikTok. And they just hate it. They can't stand it because if they can't control it, it's bad. Knowledge that they can't, skew and distort and smudge, bad. That goes to show you how little they actually respect free speech. They hate it. They hate it more than anything in the world. That's what the Israelis think of free speech. That's what the American Congress thinks of free speech. They despise free speech. It's the worst thing on earth for them. Lo and behold, this is just one of many examples, not to mention the fact that, you say the wrong thing, you get put on a list and spied on, which is arguably much worse than an app being banned. But you take my point. I'll also just end with saying that when it comes to national security, I mean, how can you sit there and then claim that the United States national security is that's a joke. That's really a joke. If anyone is going to complain, the Chinese should complain because of how much the effort the United States, how much energy the United States have directed towards attacking them for a million reasons. And here's also a lovely message from Nancy Pelosi during the session in Congress.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe, a winner.
Wow. Oh my God. I mean, she's so inspirational. What an inspirational woman. I'm taken aback. I don't know what to say. Tic-tac-toe, a winner. Ban bombs, not apps. I mean, please. Please, I wish Code Pink could get this message into the heads of people like her. I wish, because if they actually spent this energy banning bombs, well, they'd make no more money, but the world will be a better place. I really wish that they could get this message through, and they do good work, Code Pink. They really do. I think a founder, Medina Benjamin, I see her going around, Capitol Hill the whole time, just like showing people pictures of dead children in Gaza and saying, does this not bother you? And they don't want to look because they know that it's wrong. They know that it's wrong. Honestly, just think of the fact there's an election coming up. What are the people in government doing? They're directing their efforts towards protecting Israel's reputation rather than passing healthcare, for example, Medicare for all. Who even talks about that anymore? It's not but a distant dream. Free college, passing things that would help people in pre-K or for housing to fix a homelessness crisis in America. So many issues they could be addressing. So much money that has gone towards war in the last 2 years, towards Ukraine, towards combating the Russians just because they hate Russians. towards protecting Israel because Israel is an American outpost in the Middle East. Think how many good things they could have done with this speed. You saw how quickly they got into Congress and voted to ban TikTok. Why don't they act with the same agency when it comes to things that Americans actually need? What about the infrastructure, for example? There's a million things they could have fixed instead of focusing on this. But of course, Israel's reputation comes first. And you know why this is, of course, right? I said Israel is an American outpost in the Middle East. It used to be a British one, but now it's French. Sorry, used to be a British and French one, but now it's American. It served colonial powers who were shaping the Middle East, right, to have Israel in the middle, to divide and conquer. But furthermore, the reason they were able to do this with such agency and urgency is because the AIPAC lobby, which is the main Israeli lobby in America, they have such influence in Congress. They're able to just go and get a number of senators and in this case, people in the House to sign off on anything they want. $1 billion for Iron Dome, $3.8 billion a year in military aid, another 100 million if they need it, or another billion if they need it. And in this case, banning TikTok to protect Israel's image. I mean, have you ever seen anything so pathetic? Have you ever seen anything so pathetic? They're so afraid. But you know what? I take this again as another badge of honor, as I'm sure all the others who've done similar work on TikTok and educating people about what Zionism really is. What a badge of honor. What a badge of honor. It shows you that they're scared shitless. They're so scared because they know what they're doing is wrong. They know this deep down. And there's nothing bad in exposing Zionism. On the contrary, it's a moral duty that we all have. And before I bid you farewell, the obvious conclusion here is to follow my TikTok. So it's just my name. My handle is my name. It's at Richard Medhurst. So TikTok.com at Richard Medhurst. I'll put it up on screen. There you go. See that? I'm pasting the link in the box, and do make sure you follow. Thanks again to all of you. And let me read some of the